COVID to do while they were doing nothing. She was a teacher, but she wasn't in schools and bored, and wanted to do tutoring for kids who basically felt they couldn't cope with that whole online learning and education.
We have a book for you with Vivian. We're so glad you're here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Hi, I am so really delighted to be on here with you. I just gotten to know you and I already love your energy. So I think we've got something happening here. So I'm really excited to talk about my actual solo book. I've done some collaborative books, but my solo book, which got to be a bestseller on Amazon, and it's called Go Vibrant. And it's the notes and anecdotes on loving and living the joie de vivre,
Ah,
which means
Vibra.
joy, but it's got my little name in there. So it's kind
I
of
like
like
that.
a takeoff on that. And I was very excited about writing this book. And so there it is, nice flashy cover. And where do you want me to start?
Well, let's start a little bit where the idea for the book came from.
Okay, that's a cool, it's actually a cool thing that happened to me. So basically, you all remember when COVID started, those magic words of
Yeah.
COVID. And I was stuck at home with a lovely man. He's my husband, and he's a very lovely man. But I didn't realize that staying 24 hours a day in the same place with him would be all about news and sports. And that's all it would be all day long, pretty well. I'm a very, very active woman, and I could tell you a little bit about myself later. I'm super active. I think this light is a bit too glary here.
Yeah.
And I decided I needed to do something. So I am artistic. I've painted before. I've written lots of poems, et cetera, et cetera. Wrapped around what could I do to make this period of time, which was pretty devastating for everybody, what can I do to make it more positive? I'm a super
Okay.
positive person. That's what the book is a lot about. Go vibrant, like find your vibrance in you. And I decided I needed to find something, but nothing was coming to me. But something magical happened. So a friend of mine who actually I was a principal formerly in my life in a school, and I hired a teacher who I hadn't seen in 15 years. And she called me out of the blue because she was looking for tutoring jobs. Everybody was looking for something else during COVID to do while they were doing nothing. She was a teacher, but she wasn't in schools and bored, and wanted to do tutoring for kids who basically felt they couldn't cope with that whole online learning and education. So at that time, the like COVID had been already a year, and they were loosening up some of the restrictions, and you could have 3 people in your home or something like that. So I said, well, you know what? I will help you, but I haven't seen you in 15 years. Come over. So she came over, we had a nice chat and tea and whatever. But she said to me, this is what did the aha for me. She said to me, Vivian, I can't believe you haven't changed in all these years. Like, how do you stay so vibrant? How do you stay full of so much energy that you had 15, 20, 30 years ago? And honestly, so LS, what really came to me there is that um, I get this a lot by a lot of people. So I am now 79. I just turned it a few days ago. And I just feel that I've never given up that joy of living. But I never had an explanation for it. She said, how do you do it? What's your magic sauce? And all of a sudden, this aha came into me about maybe that's what I should write about. Maybe I need to find my magic sauce and write about what it is so I can impart it to others to sort of, kick themselves in the ass and get themselves going when they're in a funk, blah, blah, blah. And that's when the idea came to me. And it was crazy because that so this was the afternoon, that very late afternoon, I got a message from a group that I belong to that has nothing to do with writing books at all,
Oh,
saying that a good friend of theirs was an author. His name is Chandler Bolt, and he runs a program called Self Publishing.
I know
And
Chandler.
he would
That's
like to
awesome.
find people who are interested in writing books this very afternoon, people who are writing books, because he's started this company that is coaching and helping people write their first time book. And it's a free seminar for an hour. And then if you think that it's something for you, you join. So I went on, and it was like I found my home, because as a principal of a school, I really knew what I wanted my school to look like, sound like, feel like. And I knew, we had a great um, camaraderie with the teachers to really make the feeling of the ambiance well. And I knew what I would need as a teacher to teach me. And this guy had it all. So I like I signed up that night. And it was a little bit of money, but it was worth it. It was worth the coaching and everything. And then it was like my hand wouldn't stop. It's like I became so focused in this book. I was writing away, and I got the vision from the word vibrant. So I have a little poem. Can I read it to you?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. So this poem is in my book, and it was kind of what got me started. And it's called I Had a Vision. And this was true. This happened on kind of like the whole synergy part, the whole like somebody coming down from the universe talking to me. So this is my poem. I had a vision that vibrance came to me, and this is what she whispered in my ear. I am vibrance. Who am I? I am one, and I am many, ignited by flames of visions, of visualizations, of verve and vitality, loving to dance and frolic in the colors of life. I breathe in intensity and breathe out passion. I'm authentically alive. I live with and through both pain and pleasure. I live in the playgrounds of positivity. I sensually seize each day. I will refresh you, help you feel resilient, help you feel alive with love, life, light, and laughter. I offer invitations to all to drink a full glass of my sweet sensation, stir it soulfully, so you may be fulfilled by its magic secrets. And fortunately, I listened well. So that vision, that I had to write about it right away, came to me like it was like a form that sort of surrounded me. And I thought, I'm going to write about being vibrant. And then I kind of envisioned and saw the book before I even wrote it, which was a book filled with chapters of Vibrant. So, for instance, the first chapter told a little bit about my life and about some entanglement that I finally got out of, which is with my first husband, and became dysfunctional after 28 years. And so the first part deals with me getting out and all of a sudden being free to be me, that part. And then it deals with very many different segments of my life, not in any chronological order, but segments of my life where my magic sauce seemed to be under V, which I had some words with V, like be a visionary, create your vibe, practice visualization, all the V words that I found that I was doing. And then an I chapter, a B chapter, an R chapter, A, N, and T, and then the final conclusion. And how did I find out my magic sauce? Because honestly, when people used to say to me, "How are you so vibrant? Like, how do you do that?" I used to say, "Just live life." That was my pat answer, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, and I had to find, okay, truly, madly, deeply, what is it about me? Oh yes, thank you for remembering. Yeah, so basically, what I had to do is find out what my magic sauce was, and where was I going to find that? So I write journals all the time. I've been writing them like since I was in my teenage years, but even more
Oh,
so prolifically when I was an adult. And like this is my last one, and it's people give me presents all the time of journals, so they're every size, every color, ever. I
I'm
wrote
starting
them.
to learn that in all of my journals. I never journaled before, didn't like them. It's like, I can't do that every day. How boring. But
Right.
yeah, once you start,
And I don't do it every day, LS. I basically do it when the mood suits me. I do try to do gratitudes every day, but that's a different little book.
right, right.
Um, this is more like when I have a feeling that I want to talk about. So my journals evolved over the time. And basically, I would say the last 30 years were more expressions of feelings, thoughts. I was going through a really bad time with my ex over 30 years ago. And there was like some really emotional scrunching times that I wrote in there that
Yeah,
I didn't forgotten what I said. And then just moments of where I felt this or felt that or had epiphanies or whatever. And then there was a little bit about a trip, but it wasn't like the today we did this, today we did that, or
right, right.
about. like in the old days when you wrote a journal with a key and you wrote about your best friend and what you did and how she took your boyfriend or whatever. So it wasn't about that. And so what I decided to do, which I had never done before, I had about 40 of them or more lined up, because not just one per year. And I dug them out. We just moved recently, so I had them all. I found them all, and they were in a big box. And I took them out and I took little post-its and I would read about myself as if I wasn't me,
Right.
reading what I said, like from here. And I'd say, wow, you showed such resilience there. So I put the word resilience on an orange and
Oh,
resilience.
sweet.
And every time I saw that I was resilient or anything with an R, like I was roaring out loud, like I just
Wow.
roared out loud my mission, and I said roaring and whatever it was. And at the very end of 40 journals that I read, so that was my research. That's like an author doing research, but I'm researching myself. I found that there were enough words that started with V's and I's and B's and R and A and T to actually make a chapter. So the story in the chapter, like let's take the V chapter, I found out that I wrote stories about myself as a little kid in my journal, things that I remembered because it like for instance, just to give you an example, when I was a principal and starting principal of a school, I envisioned a school with a lot of arts-based programming, and this is before that was actually a thing. And so I hired teachers who each had different skills artistically, as well as being anybody can teach academics, but the arts is something different. So the school became an arts-based curriculum, and teachers were sent to the school to see what I was doing by integrating all this stuff. It became a big thing, and then they started a school for the arts, right? They started a school for the arts. So, which I wasn't the principal of, but I was principal of this wonderful
But
school.
but you had
And
the idea and you got it going. That's awesome.
yes, thank you. And I visualized it long before I became that principal. Like as a
Yeah.
teacher, my classroom was run that way. So in remembering that I visualized, that wasn't a story in my journal. That was just a memory. I remembered that as a kid, I already used to visualize. And that's the story I had written in the journal, being a kid who visualized things, better or more important than they were, like already seeing things ahead of time. So that story is in the book, in the chapter of V. And then I express my thoughts on how people should allow themselves to visualize and allow to see things greater than what they are and get them out of ruts, like visualize what would it be if life were better, et cetera, et cetera. Because the whole story that it feeds the brain and the brain tells the body then how to respond, et cetera, et
was
cetera.
was just studying on that today just before we met. In my group we're talking about mindset, and we were listening to
Yeah,
Bob Proctor, and we were listening to Jim Rohn, and they were
yeah,
saying that exact same thing. Yeah.
yeah. And later in life, they were my gurus. But at the time when I was I didn't know who they were. Then I
Learn.
sought them out, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that's what I did. I went through over 40 of these lovely things,
That is
and I got
amazing.
such a hoot. I like I didn't read, and I wrote so many poems. So this book here is one of my books, and every poem is is like because I'm going to make just a poem book eventually with just those poems in it.
So great.
And
I love that.
those poems were in my journal. Like I went, I wrote that. I was
That
very
is
impressed with
awesome.
myself.
Well, and you should be. You really should be, because it's amazing. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for how amazing and wonderful we are. I do want to ask you something about your
Go ahead.
journals. Now, some people still may not understand, and I know I'm just learning because I only really found out about it last year, while 2022, about a journal, and started learning more about what it is. So when you wrote in your journal, you say you don't write, well, today I did this, or my best friend, I wish she would do that, and then maybe we can do this. That isn't what journaling is about. In your words, give us just a brief synopsis of what it means to write in your journal.
Okay, and this is an easy one, and I just thought of this the other day. I was taking a shower, and our minds don't stop in a shower. We're either making our list of things to do, what to remember, but also oftentimes, and we don't listen to ourselves, oftentimes we are telling ourselves things how we feel. Like, for instance, this didn't happen. I'm just saying. For instance, you're in the shower and you're showering yourself and said, I've really got to get in touch with Sharon. I really feel that the last time I was with her, something was wrong. And she didn't seem to, you know, be with me, or there was something going on and I didn't ask her what it was, blah, 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 blah. That's the stuff you write about. The
Okay.
stuff where you're, who was the author? Oh my gosh. I don't have his book right here, but he writes about the the something mind, the unfiltered mind. I forget the name of the book. Um, it's the mind that doesn't filter because it's
Okay.
constantly thinking. And those are the
That's
thoughts that
fine.
sometimes need to be revisited.
Okay.
So, or let's say you're mad at your husband, right? And you're saying, I don't know if I can go on like this for 10 more years. Like, there's something I need to do. Either I need to do it or I need to talk to him. So that goes in the journal. Like, today I'm really feeling out of sorts. Blah 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 blah. Or your happy times. The other thing I do in my journal is I do news flashes. So
Oh,
as soon as there's something interesting about, we have, between Roland and I, we have 5 adult children with 5 adult spouses. And between them, there's 13 grandchildren.
oh,
So
wow.
sometimes I'll do a news flash where I just say news flash, and I put my son's name, Jody, and I say, something about what he did with his restaurant and how proud I am of him. Or if he needs help, I say, Jody's really depressed lately. I don't know what I can do to help him because he has his wife, but I'll keep an eye on him, something like that. So
Okay.
it's not just this today, and it makes it much more exciting to do. I don't do it every day. I don't do it every day, but I'll show you like in this one. Well, there's a whole bunch of papers now because I haven't finished. Well, then I leave gaps. I start something and I don't finish, and
Yeah.
that's fine, but it just never gets finished. It just, but and then I wrote a poem about a dog, and
Oh,
then it's all over the map. And then I did a new word of the day that I happened to hear,
oh,
so I
wow.
wrote that down, and the word is hecatomb, and it means a great public sacrifice or extensive loss of life.
Wow.
I don't know if I read it. And then I'm reading a book called Horse, so I decided to take my paints and paint a little horse.
Nice.
So it's all over the map, and all of them seem to be like this. And sometimes I write in circles, and whatever. Uh, and now we just went on this trip to Mexico, to Japan. So I did want to remember basically the days. So I did do that, one of those
Okay.
daily type of things. So that goes in
Yeah.
there, but I
But
don't
that's
spend
kind
a
of
lot
a
of time.
special event thing, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then I tried. So what did I try doing? Like in my journal, I tried writing Japanese because that's like what I
Oh,
had to do that day. You know?
oh, yeah.
So I think when people ask me, what should I do in a journal? I say everything and anything and don't limit it to just a diary. It's not a diary, it's a
No.
journal. And the journal is your travels, like your own bodily, mind, spiritual travels
Yeah. You
that you
talk
can and
about what's
explore
going on.
about yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. I went away to Mexico, just came back and brought my journal, and I didn't write at all. I was so busy I didn't write at all, but I saved little things that I thought about, like they're on these little pieces of paper, and I'll put them in because
Oh, that's a clever
I don't want to
idea.
forget. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for instance, we went with another couple, we'd never traveled with them. And I kept writing down how lovely our friendship is and how well we're getting along. And I
Oh,
want to write that, how important it is to have friends that you can travel with. So I will
yeah.
dedicate a page to that.
Oh,
Um,
that's really cool.
yeah.
Those are
Sometimes
great
it's hard.
insights. Thank you.
Sometimes the journals are your pain. You're
Yeah.
putting your pain down. but then you got to get a lot of your joy in there too.
Yeah. Well, and it gives you a place to take that pain and take it out of you and set it down somewhere safe, shall I say, somewhere that you're not hurting anybody else and it's not continually hurting you by carrying it in you and it's there. And then you can decide what to do with it later,
That's right.
That's
Absolutely. You just hit the nail on the head, whatever the expression.
nail on the head.
You hit the hammer on the nail.
Nailed it.
That you nailed it. You nailed it. That's the expression. Yeah. You know what? As I grow older, I forget expressions. I also forget words.
That's all right. It all keeps life interesting. I with the way my brain works, from the time I was very young, I would just get so excited about things, or I would be so intense about things, or I would just be, whatever. And it stayed with me. I was talking with a friend of mine and talking about my aunt, and it's like, I really love my aunt. And he goes, "Oh, what's your aunt's name?" How silly is that? You talk about embarrassing. Of course, then you get embarrassed. So there's no way you're going to think of it then. And it's like,
and then 5 minutes later,
I don't know what her name is.
And then you remember like 5, 10 minutes later, right? Like, Ethel.
I didn't. I think it was 2 weeks later before I could remember, because I was concentrating so hard on it. I was so embarrassed, and I finally did remember. It's like, well, too late now. But I told my kids, I said, "You're never going to know when I'm senile because I'm this way now. It's not going to be any
different." That's me. That's me. I've been like this all my life.
There you go.
I see pictures of children up there. Is that are those your?
This is my oldest sister, my older brother, and my sister just older than me. And I was not even a twinkle in my father's eye.
Oh, I was gonna say it looks like an old-fashioned picture, like not one today.
Yeah,
like
and it's
I know our kids won't be wearing that.
Yeah, and this one's got just a little bit of color to it because that was a really big deal back then, and you take it in black and white, but you can colorize it, and so it was. Yeah, it was.
I remember saying to my mother once, there was a picture of me when I was 4, and I was maybe 8 or 10 when I said this, and I said, "Why did I have such beautiful rosy cheeks then?" Because it got painted on.
Yeah, yeah.
It even looked like I had lipstick on.
We really need to talk about your book. Be respectful of our audience.
Yes.
So show us your book again and tell us the title and where they can buy it.
Okay, well, it's an easy buy. So it's called Go Vibrant. And then there's this little, subtitle, which is, now I forget what it says. No, it's an anecdote on loving and living the joie de vivre, which is a French term for joy of life, and by Vivian Shapiro. So it's an easy read. And what I will tell you, LS, is that what I decided to do, and I guess it's the teacher in me, is I have like little workbook things inside it.
Nice.
And if people don't want to mess up the book, there's a QR code where they can actually download the papers to do the exercises and keep like a little journal themselves. Nice. So they can create a little journal and the exercises don't come at any time in particular, just sort of when I feel like it. Just when I feel like it pops up in the book, that when it makes sense, when it aligns with what I'm talking about. Okay. And the other thing that I did, just to make it different, is every chapter has its set of affirmations.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Based on what we talked about. So this one was the B chapter, and I am a beautiful being. I am bold. I am brave. I believe I can accomplish anything I set my mind to doing. And people can choose to use that as their affirmations or add things that are B words. It's kind of like a little bit of a challenge for them.
That's wonderful.
So that's what I do. And at the end, I ask everybody to write a letter to themselves, to their future life. I show them the one that I did. And I say, there's nothing like writing a letter to your future self, thanking your past self for doing certain things to get to your future self. So there's an example of that. And then there's a little template where you can actually write the letter. And then you open it up like 5 years later, which is you at that age that you're writing to. And then you see, oh, I did do that, and I did help this, and I did
Awesome.
change my bitchy ways and whatever it is that you have to say. And the last chapter is fun. It's called Life is Like a Box of Analogies, and take up on Forrest Gump. Because everything can be compared, everything in nature, everything,
Yes.
what you do can be compared. So I compare life is like a bunch of intersections, like driving in intersections. And then I do life is like a light bulb, and then I explain it. So I
Okay.
also encourage authors, fellow authors, and fellow readers to actually write their own analogy. What to them is life like? Is it like a Monopoly game? Is it like, a lampshade? I don't know. So a few people have actually written to me their stories, which has been fun.
Oh,
And then
that's
there's a little
wonderful.
checklist at the end. There's a fun book, a checklist at the end to say, you know, um, are you or are you becoming a visionary? Do you have a unique vibe? Do you practice visualization? And the idea is to keep a check on yourself to see how many of those things you can get to live a vibrant life. So it's not just a reading book, it's a very easy book to read. I've had wonderful reviews, thank goodness, from everybody who has been reading it. I don't get enough reviews. You know how that happens, right?
Yep.
Like over 500 people have actually read the book or the Kindle, but there's 38 reviews.
Yeah.
So that's the thing you've got to be after. And that's why I'm going now to a marketing company, because somebody said to me, and I was very flattered by this, because I only thought this was a cute little book leaving a legacy for my family. That's what I thought. But more and more people have read it and have told me, and I'm trying to be humble when I say this, but have told me, you know what, everybody should read your book. It's a
Oh,
kick-ass book. It's
nice.
full of like authenticity. I feel like you're my friend talking to me. And so there've been really nice reviews. So my coach from my first time writing, when he's not my coach anymore, he said to me, okay, Viv, you've got to market this book. You've got to get it going. So thank you for helping me share this with more people in the world.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And I love what you said about writing a letter, the award I have there through Life on Fire. That was one of the things they said. Write a letter today to your future self 1 year from now about all the great things you're going to accomplish. And
Yeah.
then but I like that you added, thank you for accomplishing this. Thank you for doing that. I really like that you added that part to it. And it's a really great idea. It was the weirdest thing I ever heard. It's like, how am I going to write a letter to my future self when I don't even know what I'm going to do yet? Yeah.
Where
And
did you do that? In which
it was called
uh,
Life on Fire with Nick and Megan Unsworth.
Okay, I don't know them because it sounded
Yeah.
almost like a Tony Robbins thing too.
Oh,
He kind of
yeah.
he gets
Good.
you to
I
do a
just
little
found
bit.
out about him
Yeah.
this
Oh,
past couple of years too.
yeah. I went
Oh,
to a 4-day conference with him, and that super changed my life. Super
really?
changed
Oh,
my life.
wow. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Okay.
very magical moment there.
All
Yeah.
right. So is your book an ebook and
Oh,
paperback?
yes, thank you. So it's Kindle version, yeah, ebook,
Okay.
and it's also in paperback on Amazon. And you just have to do Go Vibrant. If it doesn't come out, sometimes they're describing some piece of cloth or something on
Right.
there. You just say Go Vibrant book, and it comes up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
that sounds great.
yeah,
Oh, I'm excited. I definitely want to go get it now.
great. And thank you,
Love that
Ellis,
you
for
showed
this
us what was
opportunity.
inside. Oh, absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. And just for those who are wondering if she has any other books, she is in the book The Change.
yes, yes, I don't
Not
have mine
this
yet.
one.
Yeah,
Not this one. Hers is coming out, but it'll be similar. And with
yeah.
the two gems, so
Little
you have
entanglement.
more.
And that's a
And are
collaborative one.
are they all on Amazon under your
Yes,
author name?
yes. I think when you
Okay.
go into my name and you see that, it says other books by.
Oh, good,
But
good.
yeah, and I've got a
That's
very cute little
suggest.
poetry book, but there's only 3 of my poems. So I'm hoping to
Okay.
produce one with just my poetry one day.
I think that's a fabulous idea. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
but it's just,
really great.
why really that I want to do that? So that they're all in one place.
There you go. I love that.
So that someday my kids can go through and read them all and not find them
Yeah.
in like 95 different journals or papers that are lying around.
That's actually really brilliant, is to bring them all
Yeah,
together and put them
yeah,
into
just
one
publish a book.
place.
And it looks like you're a I can't even say the word vociferous reader from
Well,
the
yeah,
books.
and I've got 34 books of my own. So,
You have 34 that you've done yourself?
well, I have 17 that are specifically mine,
Oh
and
my gosh. Oh, I'll have
everything
to read
about
them
the
for
book is
sure.
giving. I get no profit off it. Any books that I sell or that are sold on Amazon, all the profit goes to a nonprofit entity because I wanted everything about that book to be about giving. That's why I don't even charge the authors to be in
Oh,
it.
wonderful.
Once a year book. And you have to give back. You can't just take all the time. You have to give
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
this is a
I
great
totally
give
agree.
back.
I agree. Like I sure didn't go into that one for the money
Yeah.
because it's, you know, I did it because I was hoping I had, first of all, just little legacy, but as I got in time and people were telling me, I am hoping I can leave a little impact on people who
Yes.
are suffering, are too much involved in the sadness or
Right.
the bad times in their life and need to crawl out of that and see what there is out there before
You
it's
know,
too late, right?
being a woman of faith, I read in my Bible the other day that it says, and I've heard this verse before, but I never really understood the depth of it. And it's about being content where you are. And somebody said to me one time, well, if you're content, that means you're never going to get out of it. You're always going to stay that way. So you always want to be like this. And it's like, and I knew that isn't what the verse
Ah,
meant. And I finally figured out to be content is to be at peace in yourself, no matter what the situation is, because that's the way I was growing up. I was always happy. It didn't matter what was going on. It's like, well, life goes on. You just keep going on with it until I got involved with relationships I knew I shouldn't have, but I wanted to be like everybody else in the world, those dumb kids, those thoughts that go in your mind. And it's like, I want to be that person I was again. And that's through all of this process, though, I found out that being content in every situation just means you're at peace in yourself. So you can get out of it, so you can move forward, so you can grow, you can get better. But why not do it just being happy? And it's not like a happy pill or anything. It's that deep peace that's inside of you that it's like, yeah, it's tough, but I know it's not going to last forever. Or I know I can get out of it. Even though I don't know how right now, I know it is possible.
that's
And
exactly,
yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah,
yeah. Like, and nobody's ever, um, uh, what's the word? Uh, when you get down on someone. So you don't get down on someone because they're unhappy, blah, 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 because they have to go through that, right? The
right.
pain has to happen. Sometimes pain brings you to a power place
That's
afterwards if you
right.
can do it. The
That's right.
key is to know you're not going to be there forever.
Yep.
That's the key. And then how do you move slightly forward to different options in your life? And
Yeah.
that's like you said, I mean, you talked about, just being content, being positive, being finding other things in life that aren't just always about you or your own like trouble or whatever's going on in your life. You just have to do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
We need a lot of people in the world like us.
That's right. That's right. For
Yeah.
sure. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, LS. Just,
And
I
our,
really enjoyed this. Sorry, we
oh,
kind of
you too.
kept segueing, but it's okay. I hope
Yeah.
you can clip what you need
Oh,
because
yeah. All good. It's all good.
conversation.
This
Yeah,
is how we are, you know? This is the
that's
way it
right.
goes.
This is it.
Right.
That's it. What you get.
Oh, and thank you, our audience, for being here. We really hope we brought a lot of value to you today and that you can carry it through. Be sure and check out Vivian's book. It's vibrant. I love all the energy and everything that went into it. And I look forward to your poetry book. Definitely going to have to look at your other books. So we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Reading Between the Words. Go to www.readingbetweenthewords.com.